Hi fashion lovers, you're welcome to another interesting video. In today's tutorial, we are going to learn how to make this simple and beautiful halter neck dress with off-shoulder sleeve. If it is something you want to learn, let's get started. Get started, I'm gonna cut this directly on my fabric, and as you can see, I have like 2 yards of this fabric, and I'm gonna cut out the front part first. So I folded this fabric in such a way that it will cover up my 1/4 of my hip circumference, or the person's hip circumference, plus 3 to 4 inches. So this is the front part. So on the starting point line, I've marked a straight line as a starting point line. So I'll go ahead and take a neckline of 3 inches, which is the standard neckline we normally use. And then from there, I would, from the center front, you mark half of your shoulder measurement. Mark half of your shoulder measurement. And from the starting point line, you want to go ahead and mark your shoulder to the chest line. Your shoulder to the chest line. So because this is going to be an halter neckline, so whatever is my chest line, I'm going to remove 1 inch and mark, because it's going to be like a bit sleeveless. So if your chest line is 8.5, you are going to mark 7.5, because you don't want the armhole to be too revealing, or you might just remove half an inch from it. So from the shoulder line, I came down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope, and then on the chest line, you mark half of your shoulder measurements to get your armhole line. And then you want to mark your bust circumference. So the person's bust circumference is 34 inches. The front is 18 and the back is 16. So there is always difference between the front and back bust. So the front bust is 18, the back bust is 16. So that 18 inches, which is the front bust, you want to go ahead and divide by 2, because the front the fabric for the front is on fold. So you want to go ahead and divide by 2, and then when you divide by 2, you mark whatever thing you have on the chest line. So I already have a video on how to get your front and back bust. You can go watch it if you are confused. So after marking half of my bust, or half of the front bust circumference of the person I'm working with, I added 2 inches for the sewing allowance, and I went up by 3 inches and then go inward by 0.75 inch to connect the shoulder to, and I went inward by 0.75 inch, so I'll be able to get the armhole circumference. So with your curve ruler, you want to go ahead and mark your armhole circumference. So did you see what I did? So this, now we have gotten the front armhole. I've taken the front shoulder slope, like I said, 1.5 inches. For your chest line, you can go ahead and remove like half an inch or 1 inch from your chest line, because we are working on halter neckline. So from the shoulder line, you want to mark shoulder to the person's waistline, and shoulder to the person's hip line, and then you want to mark shoulder to the length of the gown, the length of the gown, plus your sewing allowance, maybe half an inch, or the hemming allowance on the down part. Then you want to go ahead and rule a straight line. So on the waistline, you want to mark 1/4 of the person's waistline, and then add 1.5 inches for your front dart. You can use 1.5 inches for your front dart, then add 2 inches for the sewing allowance, and then from the chest line, you want to connect to the waistline. So the hip of this person is 36.5. So the front hip is 16.5 and the back hip is 20 inches. I've already made a video on how to get the front and the back hip. The back hip is usually bigger, while the front hip is usually smaller. So the front hip is 16.5. You divide by 2, and whatever you have, you mark on the hip line, and then add 2 inches for your sewing allowance. Like I said, the front bust is bigger, the back bust is lesser. The front hip is smaller and the back hip is bigger. So I already have a video on that, and the reason why the back hip is bigger is because the butt is at the back. So whatever you have on your hip for the front, you remove 1 inch and mark on the hem parts. What you have on the hip line, remove 1 inch and mark on the hem parts. And then you want to use your straight ruler and connect. So the next thing is to mark the neckline. I'm using 3 inches as the depth of my neckline and 3 inches as the width of my front neckline. 3 by 3 inches, the width 3 inches, the depth 3 inches. With your curve ruler, you want to connect your neckline. So you want to go ahead and take my dart on the waistline, mark your nipple to nipple measurement half of feet, and then you are going to be, taking your dart. So that intake I added, that allowance I added was 1.5. So you mark 0.75 on both sides of the dart, then locate your bust point and then come down by 1 inch from the bust point. This is to enable you to take your dart. Your dart is not supposed to get to the bust point, so mark from shoulder to the bust point and come down by 1 inch from that bust point to connect your darts. So when you have done that, on the hip line, mark half of your nipple to nipple measurement, then with your straight ruler connect to the down part, and then from the hip you can come up by 3 inches to connect your darts. So when you have done that, this is what you're gonna have. So the next thing is to take the halter neck. So the halter neck do not start exactly from the neck, so and because of that I will be coming down by 2 inches on the shoulder line. I'll be coming down by 2 inches on the shoulder line for me to connect this halter neck. And with my curve ruler, did you see the part of the curve ruler I'm using? You want to connect your halter neck to meet the armhole. Some halter neck starts from the neckline. Let me just show you. It starts from the neckline, maybe 1 inch down from the neckline you connect. But from the style you are working with, the halter neckline do not start from the neckline. It started from the shoulder. So anyone you want, but for the style I'm working with, I'll have to come down from the shoulder line by 2 inches to connect my halter neck. So if you want it to start from the neckline, you can do this second line that I'm cleaning up. Did you see? So but for the style we are working with, I came down by 2 inches for the halter neck. So this is what I have after we are done. Did you see that? So at this point, I decided to use 1.5 instead of 2 inches. So from my neckline, I came down by 1.5 instead of 2 inches. So that 1.5 I think is better. And with my curve ruler, I will reconnect that my armhole curve. My armhole now. I will connect my halter neck. So there are different ways to make an halter neck, but for the style we are working with, the halter neck started from the shoulder. You can do your halter neck from your neckline directly, just like I showed you earlier. So with this, you are done with the front part. I'll go ahead and cut. As I'm cutting it, I'm adding ½ inch on the neckline, ½ inch on the shoulder, and also ½ inch on the armhole, and then I'll go ahead and cut the remaining ones. So when I was done, this is what I have. Did you see that? So I'll go ahead and cut a lining for it, and then we're going to be drafting the back. So for the back, I've also folded the back. I'll go ahead and mark 1 inch sewing allowance, 1 inch zipper allowance, then mark all my lines that I have on the front, shoulder to the chest line, shoulder to the waistline, and shoulder to the hip line and the length of the dress. So I've marked my zipper line. So the next thing you want to do is to take your neckline. So the neckline I'm using is width of feet is 1.5. Width of feet is 3 inches, while the depth is 1.5. So from the shoulder, you mark half of your shoulder line there, mark 1 inch for your shoulder slope, mark half of your shoulder line and mark 1 inch for your shoulder slope. So all my measurement is going to start after the zipper. So from on the chest line, you mark half of your shoulder measurement to connect your neckline, your armhole, sorry. Get the midpoint of your armhole and then go inward by ½ inch to connect. So my bust line for the back is 16 inches, so I'm going to divide that 16 inches by 2, and whatever thing I have, I'm going to mark on the chest line, just like you see me doing. And then I'll add my 2 inches sewing allowance, and then you want to go ahead and connect the neckline, the armhole, sorry. All the measurements start after the zipper. Then on the zipper line, you want to go inward by 1 inch. Sorry, on the waistline, go inward by 1 inch, and then go ahead and connect. Go inward by 1 inch. You want to remove that zipper bulging effect. Then take it to the nape of your neckline and connect. Then reconnect your zipper allowance. Reconnect your zipper allowance just like this. And then you want to take this down to the hip, but like 2 inches above the hip. Take it down to 2 inches above the hip and reconnect your zipper allowance. So these parts will be cut out. Did you see that? So on the hem part, you also want to go inward by 1 inch on the hem part, and then take it to the hip, but like 2 inches before the hip line. Take it to 2 inches before the hip line, then reconnect your zipper allowance. So this is going to help to give you a well-defined shape at the back, as we do not do the back contouring and all of that. We do not use pattern, so this is going to help you to get a perfect fitted dress at the back, because your back is not straight. So from the waistline, you mark 1/4 of your waist measurement, and then 1 inch for zipper, 1 inch for that, and 2 inches for sewing allowance. Mark 1/4 of your waist measurement, 1 inch for that, and 2 inches for zipper allowance. And my hip line for the back is 20 inches, while the front was 16.5. The back is 20. Divide 20 by 2, you're going to have 10. You mark that 10 on your chest line, and then add 2 inches for your sewing allowance. So from your waist, you are going to go ahead and connect. So because this person I'm working with, the measurement I'm working with, the lady is slim. So whatever I have on the hip, I'm going to remove 1.5 inches to mark on the hem. If I'm using my own measurement, I'm going to remove 2 inches to mark on the hem. But because the person I'm working, the measurement I'm working with, the person is slim. So what I have on the hip, I removed 1.5 inches and marked on the hem. So I'll go ahead and take my dart of 1 inch on the waistline. So you get the half of your nipple to nipple measurement mark, and also mark on the chest line. Then you're going to mark ½ inch on both sides and connect your darts. So take your line to the hip line, and from the hip line, go up by 2 inches to connect your darts. So the next thing is on the shoulder line, go down by 1.5. We use 1.5 for the front, and with your curve ruler, go ahead and connect your halter neck. You can see that this halter neck, I'm not using a princess dart. This is because the halter neck is not so wide. If the halter neck was very wide, maybe I started from the neckline, I would use a princess dart so to avoid gaping on the armhole. But because it's not so wide, it will not have any gaping on the armhole. So as you are cutting, add ½ inch to the shoulder line, to the neckline, and to the armhole. Then go ahead and cut the remaining, both the zipper side and the body of the dress. So when I was done, this is what I have. You can see I'm done cutting. So I'll go ahead and also cut the lining the exact way I cut out the fabric. So we're going to go into the sewing. So I'll just go ahead and sew the dart. So I'm going to transfer the dart to the other side of the material, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew the dart. That's the first thing I'm going to be doing. After cutting the lining, you want to go ahead and sew all your darts. So when I'm done, this is what I have. I've cut out my lining, I've sewn all my darts. Did you see? This is the front part, and I've sewn all my darts. So this is how the front part is looking. I've sewn the darts, and for the lining, I've also sewn the dart. So I'm going to be facing this. I'm going to be using the lining to close up the main fabric. So you want to keep your lining right side of the lining facing the right side of the main fabric, just like this. Did you see what I'm doing? So you want to go ahead and sew the neckline. So at this point, I forgot that I'm supposed to add a band, like a turtleneck collar on the neckline. I went ahead to sew the neckline before I realized that, but I later loosen it up. So at this point, please don't sew the neckline. So from the armhole line, you come down by 5 inches. Though I came down by 5.5 inches. So I'm going to leave that side. I'm going to sew this part. Did you see? I'm going to sew this part and leave the other part of the armhole open because you're attaching a sleeve. So I'm sewing this part. So I came down by 5.5 from the neckline now. So from the shoulder now, come down by 5.5 like this, and you're going to be sewing by half an inch, and you're leaving this part open for the for the sleeve. So the next thing is also to sew the down part, the end part of this dress. You want to go ahead and sew the end part, and then also sew the side. You now added 2 inches for the sewing allowance, so I'm going to use half inch to sew the side now. So after I was done, this is what I have. I've sewn the neckline. I've sewn the side seams and the down part. I have also sewn the neckline and even, notched. But I realized that I'm not meant to sew. I have also sewn the armhole part. Like I came down by 5 inches and did the sewing, and I left the other side open because of the zipper. It was at this point I realized I was not meant to sew the neckline because of the band we are going to be there, because of the collar we are going to be attaching. So I let her loosen it up. So let me show you what I have after I was done. So this is what I have after I was done. You can see the armhole side. Did you see? Because of the sleeve, I closed some parts. See the neckline, I have to loosen it up because I'm not meant to do so. So I've closed the side seam, and then I'll go ahead and iron it out. Did you see that? So this is what I have after I was done with the front. So this is the back part now. I've also sewn all the darts. So the next thing, I've sewn all the darts, as you can see. So the next thing is from the neckline, you want to come down. I came down by, I guess, 24 inches. That space is going to be my zipper. Okay, I came down by 25 inches. That space is going to be my zipper allowance. Did you see? And then from the hem part, I'll come up by 9 inches. Did you see? That is going to be my slit. So I'm going to be sewing in between this part that I'm marking. I'm going to sew to this point. Did you see? I'm going to sew that part and leave the slit and zipper opening. Did you see? I'm going to leave the zipper opening. Then I'm going to attach my zipper on the zipper opening. Did you see? I will go ahead and attach mine zipper to the zipper opening. So when I was done, this is what I have. You can see I've attached my zipper and my slit is open. Did you see? I've attached my zipper, and I've done the same for the lining. I have sewn in between the lining, the part I sewed on the fabric. So this is what I have with my lining. So I'm going to face the right side of the lining, will face the right side of the the back part, and you want to go ahead and sew the neck, the down part, the hem part of the back. Did you see? With your lining. And then you also want to sew the slit, hold it at that point. Did you see? And then go ahead and sew by the 1 inch you have added on that zipper. You sew to the end like this with one lining, and then you also sew the other side by the 1 inch you've added, or the sewing allowance you've added. And then you open the zipper part like this, and with your lining you want to go ahead and sew this part. Did you see? You want to sew this part, but don't allow it touch the zipper seat, like the zipper side now, the zipper head. Don't allow it touch the zipper head. So I'll also do the same for the other side as well. Use my lining like this and then sew that part, but I won't allow it touch the zipper head. And I will show you what I have after I was done with that. So after I was done, this is what I have. Did you see that? You can see I've sewn the zipper side, the hem part, the slit part. Did you see? So I'll go ahead and turn to the right side for you to see what we have so far. So this is what I have when I turn it to the right, to the right side. Now did you see? You can see how the zipper is. You can see how neat that side is. So that's the essence of, closing, using your lining to do the zipper side. So the next thing now is also to turn it so you can, continue with the armhole side as well. So, or you want to go ahead and arrange. So on the armhole now, you want to also come down by 5.5, just like you did for the front. Come down by the 5.5, and then did you see? So we're going to be sewing this part. I'm going to sew from this part to the 5.5. Did you see? And then leave the armhole region because of the sleeve you're attaching. Then you also want to go ahead and sew the side seam by half an inch. You also want to do the same for this part. So after I was done, this is what I have. Did you see? I've sewn the armhole of the two sides, leaving the other part open, and I've sewn the side seam by half an inch on both sides. So I'll go ahead and turn it to the right side for you to see. After I was done, this is what I have. As you can see, this is the back part. So you want to now go ahead. You can see I've loosened the neckline of the front. So you want to go ahead, match the shoulder like this. Did you see, of the front and the back? Let the lining be facing the lining, the main fabric be facing the main fabric, and then go ahead and sew. Make sure you open it up like this. Use your pin and hold it. You're going to be sewing by half inch you have added. Let the fabric face the fabric and the lining face the lining like this. And then you want to go ahead and sew by half an inch. Also do the same for the other side as well. When I was done, this is what I have. You can see I've sewn that part. Did you see? I've sewn the part. So the next thing is to get my neckline, like the total neckline that I have. Get half of the front neckline and half of the back neckline. Get half of the front neckline and half of the back neckline, because we want to draft the turtleneck collar that will be attached to the neckline. So after getting the neckline now, so I'll just, mark, like I want to do a straight line. I want to like do a straight line. So the front neckline is 6, the front neckline and the back neckline. So I just marked a straight line. So from here to this point is the front neckline and the other side is the back neckline. So from this point now, go up by 1 inch. Use your curve ruler and connect to the front neckline. So this point is the front neckline, where the other side is the back neckline. So mark 1.5 because the neckline, the turtleneck I'm using is 1.5, and then you want to go ahead and connect like this. From here to here is the front, and this, from this point to this point, is the back. You can see the front is a kind of curved and the back is straight. Did you see? So this is how to get your turtleneck collar. And then you want to like go inward by 0.25 and then do this inverted line. So this is the front, this is the back. So I'm rushing because the video is too long. If you want me to do a detailed tutorial on the turtleneck line, let me know. But this is how to get a perfect turtleneck line, and the video is already long, so I'm trying to like rush to to kind of, so that the video would be okay to watch. And this is what I have, so I'll go ahead and cut this out. So the front part is going to be on fold. This side is going to be on fold, which is the front part, and the back part is going to be open, so on fold, and the back side is going to be on open. So I'll go ahead and cut on the fabric. So this is the way I'm keeping it. I'm cutting 2 pieces of it. This is where you're going to keep it, and then add your ½ inch on the upper part, on the down part, and 1 inch on the back side. Did you see? Because of the the button we are going to be adding, or the whatever thing you want to add. When you open it up, this is what you're going to have. You can see I cut out 2 pieces of it. I'll go ahead and sew by 1/2 inch on the upper part, and then sew 1/2 inch on the side. Did you see? So after I was done, this is what I have. Did you see? I've sewn the upper part, sewn the side seam, and I've notched the middle point. So I'll also notch the middle point on the neckline as well. And then you want to go ahead and attach it on the neckline. Did you see? You want to go ahead and attach it on the neckline. So you want to go ahead and attach. You're going to have it overlap. So that was why I added 1 inch to the neck or the back outside. So like there is going to be an overlap on the band for where you're going to put either button or whatever you want to put. But me, I'm going to be putting a pressing button. Did you see this? Did you see this part? You want to fold it in and sew it like this. Did you see? You want to sew it. So that overlap, you're going to add either button, add your press button, depending on what you want to use for that part, or your hook and eye, whatever thing. So when I was done, this is what I have. Did you see? So you can see the overlap around here. I'm going to be adding a press button to it, and this is the turtleneck band. So the next thing is for the sleeve. For the sleeve, I have a fabric here that is about 45 inches in length, and then the length is about 10 inches. The length is about 10 inches, and it's going to serve as my sleeve. So this is the remaining fabric I have from the 3 yards I'm working with. Sorry, from the 2 yards I'm working with, sorry. So I'll go ahead and fold this part by, fold it in 2 times. That is going to, like, I'm going to sew it into 2. And then I want to, like, get my armhole. So this is the easiest way to make like an off shoulder. So I'll go ahead and sew the side seam now. So I'll go ahead and sew the side seam so I'll be able to attach my sleeve. So after I was done sewing my side seam by the 1.5 inches of my which is my sewing allowance. So this is what I have. I can see I've sewn the side seam, and I've sewn also the sleeve part, the up and the down part. I've closed the down parts now. So I'm going to fold the sleeve into 2 like this, and that armhole that is opened, I'm going to place it on the sleeve to cut out the armhole. I'm going to place it on the sleeve like this. That's the armhole that is open, and then cut out my sleeve. So that's the best way to go about this particular sleeve. You can see I've cut out the armholes region. So this is what I have as the armhole region. Did you see that? So the next thing is to go and gather the upper part. Go and gather the upper part. So I've done that. I've gathered the upper part, and then you want to check your armhole line. Like, you want to check the circumference of where the sleeve is going to be. For the one I'm working with, I'm going to be using 11 inches for the circumference. So when you have gotten the circumference, you want to secure your thread, and that is where how your gather is going to be. So you want to go ahead and attach it to the to the armhole now. Did you see? Just go ahead and attach it to the armhole, and then complete the sewing of your sleeve. Honestly, the video is already long, and I hope you understood. You can see I've added my press button on the turtleneck now, and I've gotten this part now. You can see. So this is what we have so far. And I believe you enjoyed this tutorial and you have learned a lot from this tutorial. You can see I used 2 years because the lady is a very slim person, so like a teenager. So you can go ahead and use 2 inches if you're an adult. Did you see what I have? You can see what I have. This is very easy and simple. You can try it out and let me know your thoughts on the comment section. I've attached the sleeves, and this is it. This is the opening where your hand is going to be. Thanks for watching, and see you in my next tutorial. Bye bye.